Abstract. Washington is a town in the metropolitan borough of Sunderland, Tyne and Wear, in northeast England. Once a small agricultural and manor-based settlement, it was designated a British new town in 1964 and substantially expanded in the late 20th century to provide modern housing, employment land and community facilities for the wider region. The town is best known internationally for Washington Old Hall, the ancestral home of the Washington family from whom the first U.S. president, George Washington, descended, while locally it functions as a residential and commercial hub with evolving transport and regeneration priorities. 1. Introduction and Scope. This paper provides a concise but comprehensive overview of Washington, Tyne, and Wear, its origins and history, demographic profile, governance and planning, economy and land use, transport and infrastructure, cultural and heritage assets, current challenges and planned developments. Sources include official statistics, heritage trusts, local/regional planning documents and synthesis from established reference works. Key factual claims are footnoted with web sources. 2. Historical background. The place name Washington is old. The manor at the heart of the present town dates back many centuries and was the seat of the Washington family, originally de Wessington/William de Hertburn in the 12th century. Washington Old Hall, now a preserved manor house with gardens, preserves the link between the English settlement and the later American Washingtons. The National Trust interprets that historic connection for visitors. In administrative terms, Washington historically lay in County Durham. The modern period of most dramatic change began when Washington was designated a new town in 1964. Planners aimed to deliver new housing, employment land and services to absorb population pressures in nearby older urban areas and to stimulate economic diversification in the Northeast. The Newtown program produced a planned pattern of villages and neighborhoods, plus centralized retail and civic facilities that reshaped Washington's landscape through the late 20th century. Washington became formally part of the new metropolitan county of Tyne and Wear in the borough, later city, of Sunderland under the local government reorganization of 1974. 3. Geography and settlement form. Washington sits inland between Gateshead, Chesterley Street, and the Wear estuary around Sunderland. The designated Newtown area expanded the historic village into a town with multiple residential villages, for example, Washington Village, Albany, Concord, Barmston, and others, interspersed with green corridors and industrial/employment zones. The town covers an area of several square kilometers and combines older stone-built village cores with 1960s, 1980s suburban estates. 4. Demographics. According to 2021 census-derived reporting and official local profiles, Washington's population is on the order of 50 to 53,000 people when measured as a built-up area or town unit, with small fluctuations in the decade to 2021. Age structure and household makeup generally reflect a mixed residential town. Families, older residents, and commuting households are all present. Different statistical definitions and geographic boundaries, e.g., built-up area versus local authority wards, produce slightly different totals. The most frequently cited 2021 figure for the Washington town area is about 51,300 to 53,300.
5. Governance, planning, and economy. Washington is administered within the City of Sunderland, Metropolitan Borough, and is represented in UK Parliament by the constituency covering Washington and Gateshead South. Name and boundaries have evolved with periodic reviews. The Newtown era introduced the Washington Development Corporation and a planning framework oriented to mixed public/private housing, industrial estates, and a consolidated shopping center, the galleries. Local economic aims have been to replace older heavy industry employment with manufacturing, logistics, retail, and public sector jobs. Recent decades have seen a mix of stable employment estates alongside regeneration projects aimed at modernizing commercial space and improving town center assets. 6. Transport and connectivity. Washington sits near major north-south routes, notably the A1/A1M corridor, and is within commuting distance of Newcastle and Sunderland. Historically, the town relied on road links and local bus services. More recently, there has been policy and program-level emphasis on improving public transport, proposals and plans to extend the Tyne and Wear Metro into Washington, using the old Leamside/rail alignments, and new station sites such as Washington North and Washington South, are an important element in regional transport strategy and longer-term regeneration plans. If implemented, those schemes would alter commuting patterns and could catalyze additional development. 7. Culture, heritage and landmarks. Washington Old Hall is the town's principal heritage asset, a medieval/manorial complex cared for by the National Trust, interpreted for its connections to the Washington family and medieval gentry life. The manor and its gardens are a focal point for local tourism, school visits and community events. Other local landmarks and green spaces, as well as the planned town center shopping and leisure facilities that grew up after the new town designation, shape civic life. The town also celebrates its new town legacy, both the planning optimism of the 1960s and the social history of post-war regional development. 8. Education and community services. Washington contains a range of primary and secondary schools serving local villages, along with further education access in the Sunderland area. Community facilities established during the new town phase include health centers, village halls and recreational parks. These remain important for social cohesion and local service delivery. As with many towns in post-industrial regions, there are ongoing discussions about maintaining and upgrading school and health infrastructure as demographic trends change. 9. Current challenges and future prospects. Key challenges for Washington are typical of many regional towns: securing inward investment, modernizing economic space, ensuring affordable and high-quality housing, and improving public transport/connectivity to regional labor markets. The Metro to Washington proposals and other regional transport initiatives are positioned as strategic opportunities to increase accessibility and support town center regeneration. Environmental management, preserving green corridors, adapting to climate risks, flooding/drainage in low-lying areas, and improving local air quality, is also part of planning conversations. Continued partnership between Sunderland Council, regional transport authorities and central government programs will influence outcomes. 10. Notable associations and cultural footprint. Washington's most widely recognized association is genealogical, the link to the Washington family and, by extension, George Washington. This connection brings international interest, symbolic rather than implying continuous habitation by the American Washingtons, and is leveraged by heritage and tourism activity around Washington Old Hall. The town's identity is also shaped by its new town heritage, which remains culturally significant to residents and to planning historians.
11. Conclusion. Washington is a town that blends medieval heritage with mid-20th century planning ambition. Its evolution from historic manor and village to designated new town created both opportunities and responsibilities, to provide high-quality housing and services, to diversify the local economy, and to preserve an important heritage link. Future transport projects and local regeneration will be decisive in shaping Washington's next decades, while the National Trust's stewardship of Washington Old Hall will keep the town's deep historical roots visible to visitors and residents alike. Selected references and further reading, web sources cited. National Trust, Washington Old Hall, Site and History. ONS/Local Area Statistical Profiles and 2021 Census Summaries for Washington. City Population and Built-Up Area Population Summaries, Washington. Historical Overview and Legal Background on the 1964 New Town Designation, Washington New Town. Nexus/Regional Transport and Planning Materials on Metro to Washington Proposals.